The concept of an iceberg is pretty simple. It looks pretty huge on the surface, but deep down it's even bigger. This is used as a format to put facts and theories about a specific piece of media together that as you go down get more and more obscure. There have been videos made on different Genshin icebergs before, but this is by far the biggest iceberg I've found, and it had a lot of obscure info that even I didn't know even after playing this game for nearly 2 years now. And in this video, I'm gonna explain the iceberg to you. Before starting of the video, I will not be going in depth about these topics as the video would be too long and I do not have the time to make a video. But if you want to read more about these topics, I'll link all the sources I've used in the description below. And if you find the topics of the first few levels uninteresting, you can always skip to the bottom ones. Level 1, the tip of the iceberg. Starting off on the tip of the iceberg, Lisa's birthday. Lisa's birthday is the 9th of June. Which, when written in the American format, becomes the funny number. Very funny indeed, however. Wet socks. Aiga gets all the slander for getting his socks wet in the pool while dancing, but Kazuha is no better than her. Unusual hilly shrill. Most long-time players know about the unusual hilly shrill, but if you don't, it's a white hilly shrill that spawns randomly at certain predefined positions on the map. Unlike the regular hilly shrill, this one is passive and only attacks you when you attack it first. It also drops vegetables instead of the regular hilly shrill drops. CHASM in 1.4. This refers to the rumors during the 1.3 version that the CHASM would be released in the version 1.4. But as we all know, it got released much later in the version 2.6. Bennett C6 makes it so that when you are in his burst, your normal attacks get infused with pyro. This is very good for pyro units, but for any other element it messes up with the reactions, and physical damage units like Eula and Razor can't be used with him at all. It is quite universally accepted that it isn't worth turning his C6 on. Spectres. I couldn't really find anything specific on them except the fact that they exist. So here's something that I added on my own. There was a time when Spectres weren't affected by any crowd control units using their burst or skill, like Venti's burst or Sucrose's burst. Yinger. Yinger is the name of the perfume maker in Liyue. She shares the name with the Chinese actress Yinger. Wald and Nadia. Wald and Nadia are an NPC couple that both work at the Northland Bank in Liyue as guard. Nadia works the morning shift while Wald works the night shift. Heart Island. It is an island located out in the oceans beside Dragonspine. It has a heart-shaped structure that when two players in co-op step into, it gives a luxurious chest. Barbara's Burst. Barbara is the only 4-star character to have a 5-star burst animation. Switch release. Genshin hasn't been released on the Switch yet. The release date would be announced this year in 2023. KFC Wing. Wings of Feasting is a wind glider obtainable through a redemption code obtained by buying a specific KFC combo meal in China. And no, unfortunately, it does not look like actual chicken wings. Split scaling. There are characters whose skills and burst scale off of 2 stats. For example, Alhaitham scales off of both attack and EM. Mona Constellation. This Mona, while doing her ideal animation, reads the constellation of other Genshin Impact playable characters. NPCs clapping. When you use a catalyst user's normal attack or alternate sprint with a character, in front of NPCs they start clapping. Catherine is a robot. This is now confirmed after the Sumero Archon quest that Catherine is indeed a Snezhnine robot. This was a theory that had been going around for quite a long time now, due to the fact that if you stand near Catherine long enough, she has lines that say reboot and error. Commedia dell'arte. Commedia dell'arte is an Italian play from the 16th century which inspired the names of the Fatui Harbingers. La Signora, Tartaglia, Dottore, Pantalone, etc. are all characters in this play. Hidden Island. If you didn't know, there was a hidden island completely off the map and can be only accessed through the secret quest, the Thousand Winds, or if you ice fish to there, but that would be a very long journey. Aloy. Aloy is a character from the Horizon game series that was made into a Genshin playable character for an event. Level 2. Shallow Waters. Friendship tassels. Xingqiu and Chongyun have very similar looking tassels attached to their belts. This theory suggests that these were given to them by each other as a token of their friendship. The one on Xingqiu represents the absorption of negative energies into clear positive energy, and the one on Chongyun represents the warding off of evil spirits. The theory has been confirmed by the designers themselves. Paimon to the moon. I'm not entirely sure of what this means, but the closest thing that I can find on this is the theory that Paimon is one of the 3 moon sisters that were in the sky of ancient Tevat. Sucrose species. Many people think that Sucrose is the same species as Yaemiko, although it's not completely confirmed what species she is. She has similar ancestry to Diona, so it's safe to guess that she is a half cat and a half human, while Yaemiko is a kitsune. VV is broken. Verdescent Venerer is the best support set in the game by far, due to its insane buffs and the ability to fit animo characters in almost any team. iPad ad. The 2022 ad for the iPad Air featured Genshin Impact as a way to show off the device's hardware. The only problem was that the clip shown was of fighting the Thunder manifestation with a full Electro team. You know, like you normally do. Needless to say, they did a massive 0 damage in the entirety of the clip. Meme achievements. There are a couple of achievements in the game that can be completed by some pretty stupid ways, like making a pyro helishal pick up a pyro slime out of water rewards you with the achievement penalty, or if you burn a dish you get the achievement if you put your heart into it. The audacity. I wasn't able to find much on this except this shirt, and again, if you know anything about this that I don't, please do tell me. Serena teapot suspended. This could mean one of 2 things. Either this means the 2.6 teapot maintenance suspension that lasted a whole version, or it means about the 15-year ban a Chinese player got for mocking the Chinese government in the Serena teapot. I am honestly surprised that all they did was suspend him. While It's Warm. While It's Warm was an event that had you deliver food to NPCs while following a very specific rule set. The sky is fake. This was mentioned by Scaramouche, and with the end of the Sumeru Archon quest, although we don't know the exact conversation between Dottore and Nahida, it is practically confirmed that this is true. Skirk. When Tartaglia fell into the abyss, he was helped by a mysterious woman named Skirk, who taught him how to fight. She was also the one to teach him the Foul Legacy transformation. Collect all local specialities. This is again something that I can't find anything specific about, and as far as I know, nothing really happens if you collect all the regional specialities in the game. All JoJo references. There are a handful of references from JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. Fischl is one of them, and here's a list of couple of other references from the anime. Zhongli release. Zhongli C2 on release was bugged. It worked as follows. When Zhongli casts his Q, a shield is generated, but if you already had a shield activated, it would cancel it out first and then reapply it. This made it so that the attack buff you got from the Geo Resonance would not apply. Sea Gonodorma. They look like a pretty normal aquatic plant on the surface, but they have some of the most messed up lore in the entire game. In Genshin Folktales, these are the souls of children that died too young. Keqing banner. In version 1.3, Keqing got a banner that was one of the least revenue generating banners of all time. She also remains the only 5-star standard character to get an event banner. Keep in mind that Tignari and Dea were added to the standard banner after their release banner had ended. No compass in Dragonspine. Every region has a compass that locates chests, and each of these work in the special regions of the area. Liyue's compass works in the Chasm Undergrounds, Inazuma in Enkanomiya, Sumeru in the deserts, except Mondstadt's, which does not work in the Dragonspine area. Swing bug. Nahida's ideal animation has a glitch that instantly turns her into a Boeing 777. Mona in Wind Race. Mona's alternate sprint makes her next to impossible to find in the Wind Race event. The same goes for Ayaka. Barbara voice lines. Barbara's voice lines were changed in the version 1.3. Earlier she sounded something like this.
Oh, protect us!
And now she sounds something like this.
Oh, protect us!
Surprisingly though, both the versions were voiced by the same voice actor, Laura Stahl. First anniversary over the first anniversary awards. The players thought that they weren't rewarded well enough for supporting the game for a whole year since its release. which is true. Level 3, getting deeper. Now this is the part where we start getting a bit more interesting stuff. Skins for censorship. Mona, Jean, Amber and Rosaria all got a new outfit in the version 2.6. These were permanently implemented in the cutscenes but can be changed for playable versions of the characters. The main focus of these was covering up skin. This change had many people thinking that this had been done due to the Chinese regulators interfering with the game, and there was influence of the Chinese government in the game. Chi-Chi about Hu Tao. It's a well-known fact that Chi-Chi does not like Hu Tao at all. She's tried to bury the zombie child many times. Here's what Chi-Chi has to say about Hu Tao.
Warm, fake smile, death. I despise Hu Tao.
Gateway to Celestia. This theory suggests that the statue of Venti in Mondstadt is a gateway to Celestia. When translating the language of Tewart written on the foot of the statue, it translates to the gateway of Celestia. Similarly, the floating text on chests can be translated to adversium, which is the Latin for adventure. Mi parenthesis ku hoyo. This theory suggests that the mi in mihoyo comes from Hatsune Miku. The H and Y in mihoyo stand for Kai Haoyu and Lao Yuha, who were the founders of mihoyo. Rift Hounds mentioned in 1.0. I couldn't find any mentions of Rift Hound in 1.0. What I did find was that a small bunch of Rift Hounds were added near the Wolvendom region in the 2.4 update. Children of Murata. Murata is the name of the Pyro Archon. The children of Murata are hardy people blessed with red colored hair. Reminds you of a certain someone? The theory says that the Ragenbender clan are direct descendants of the Lady of Fire, and they originate from Natland, the land of the Pyro Archon. Lantern Rite was a beta event. During the closed beta version 2, there was a very similar event to the Lantern Rite available to play. Elazar Hospital. The Elazar Hospital is easily one of the creepiest places in Genshin. It was made for treating Elazar but was later abandoned. There were 3 doctors working on them. One of them, whose name was censored, is most probably Dottore conducting his experiments on the patients there. Chests, apprentices never respawn. There are a few chests in the game that have overlapping locations, which may make it seem like they respawn, but no, in reality, in Genshin, chests do not respawn. Celestia's location. While its exact location is not known yet, some players have been able to make an approximation of where it would be on the map using maths. 120 resin. This is the old resin cap before it was changed to the current 160. Reworked / removed ideals. Again, sorry, but no information to be found on this as well. Spiders. Okay, this is quite a disgusting one. So there are ancient mile-high trees in Tewart with a species of giant spiders living on them, and according to Albedo, they taste extremely good, meaning that this guy cooks and eats spiders. Yeah. From Chasm to Sumeru. If you go to the green region in the far side of the Chasm undergrounds and climb up the tree there, you will be teleported near the statue of 7 at Gandharva Vile. Hunting traps. You probably forgot that these even existed, and rightfully so. They are completely useless. They were given during the Shangling story quest to catch boars, and that is the only time in game that you can get them. 108 primos. So Genshin hosted a web event with a total prize pool of 1 billion primos. But if there's one thing constant about Genshin is that there would be RNG no matter what. And guess what most people got out of that 1 billion prize pool? 108 primo gems, which is not even a single wish. Ruin Crater in INAZUMA. Outside the Spiral Abyss, Ruin Craters can only be found in Dragonspire, except this one particular crater that is in INAZUMA. During its deactivated stage, it faces towards Dragonspine, indicating that it is the place where it belongs. Dragon Strike. This is a technique exploiting the hit lag mechanic of the game. By dashing, jumping and plunging very quickly, the higher multipliers in the plunge attacks give more damage. Level 4, almost to the bottom. mihoyo on textures. In the version 2.5, the texture streaming in Genshin Impact was bugged, and every time you turned the camera, the textures became low-res for a second. Discombobulate. This is a famous word used by Sherlock Holmes.
First, discombobulate.
So, in Heizo's low HP 2 voice lines, he also uses this word.
Yeah, that was discombobulating.
This is a reference to the Sherlock Holmes movies, as they both are detectives. Faceless Ayato. While its legitimacy could be questioned, this was a series of TikTok posted by a Russian user who claimed that there were glitches occurring to his Ayato after downloading Genshin from an unofficial site. Moreover, he claims that he didn't even own an Ayato, floating, clipping, and drowning. There are ways to make objects in the Serena teapot float, sink, or clip. Burning grass. The closest thing to this I know about is the average Genshin player's fear of grass. Stronger Masanori. For after 2 hours after midnight endgame, there is a stronger version of the Masanori available to fight, who has more HP and has an increased time limit. Demon names. All the Archons in the game get their names from demons from the Lesser Key of Solomon. For example, Morax is the president of Hell in demonology. Firewater Diluc. This refers to the time when Diluc downed an entire class of Snezhna and Firewater, which, if you didn't know, is a type of vodka, and proceeded to pass out for 3 days. I can see why he wouldn't want to drink after that incident. Slimes represent Archons. The large version of slimes seem to show quite a lot of resemblance to the respective elements Archon. Like the Animo slime can lift itself, so can Venti. The Geo slimes can make shields, like Zhongli. The Electro Archon had twins. The Electro slime has twins. The original Dendro Archon made an identical smaller copy of herself. The Dendro slimes could do the same. Retracing Bolide is based on Yoimiya. Although the 4-piece bonus is useful for Yoimiya as a shielder is a must-have for her, the 2-piece bonus is completely useless. Moreover, this can be true for almost any character that uses normal or charged attacks and needs a shielder. The design of the set does look a bit fitting for Yoimiya, but apart from that, there isn't much relation of this set to her. INAZUMA story rewritten. A Reddit user rewrote the entire INAZUMA storyline. I can't explain the entire thing in this video as it would be way too long, so I've put the link in the description if you want to read it. Maybe that could be a video idea for later. Joseph, the adventurer mentioned by Mona, who continued his journey despite knowing his fate, was probably Joel's father, Joseph. At least that's what this theory says. Level 5, the bottom. Mods. Mods for Genshin exist. For obvious reasons, I won't tell you how to get them, and even if you did, you'll probably just end up getting banned for it. Italian government. I don't think I need to explain this to you. Diluc Wink. When using his burst, Diluc used to do a little wink. This was patched in the version 2.3. Evangalion rings. I have to say, these are too many anime references for a guy whose last anime was Beyblade. Anyways, Utao's rings are reference to Evangelion angels, and I have to be honest, I've no clue what that is. Kate Kaslana. Kate Kaslana was a character that was leaked shortly after the game's official release. She had a Knight of Favonius crest and was said to be an Electro Sword user. There were 2 models leaked, but surprisingly, unlike other leaked characters, she is mentioned absolutely nowhere in the game. Maybe she got scrapped, or maybe she would be released later down the road. Mimi. This is another leaked character that hasn't been heard about, although her design is pretty similar to Gokumi, so it's most likely that she got transformed into Gokumi. Speaking of Transformers model, data finance found that there is a random model of Shockwave the Transformers in the files of Genshin for absolutely no reason at all. The moon is a corpse. We talked about the Moon Sisters earlier, so according to the lore, there were 3 Moon Sisters in ancient Teyvat, and the moon in the sky now is the dead corpse of one of them. Infinite meat. There have been several glitches throughout versions that could produce infinite meat. Blank Traveler. This most probably refers to the No Element Traveler. This could be done by skipping the initial quest to activate the Statue of Seven, by exploiting a few bugs and glitches in the game. Aether Reflection. If you look through the window in Jean's office, for some odd reason, no matter what character you have active, the reflection will always show Aether, no matter what. 1.5 client. The 1.5 beta client for Genshin could be downloaded and used. Again, I'm not telling how to do this, but you probably are smart enough to figure it out. Artifacts and Prayers. The Prayers series of artifacts describes a long, unbroken sequence of hundreds of high priests who each have a crown made of Irminsul, and each towards the end of their lives retires and makes the journey down into the secret domains of Teyvat to find a particular Irminsul tree, where they add their crowns to the heap of crowns from their predecessors. When put together, they describe the cycle of destiny, or the truth of Teyvat. Frost represents the renewal of Earth and the failure of human nations. Flame shows the arising of new human settlements controlled by gods. Torrents represents the wealth and prosperity coming to humans under the gods, and thunder shows the prosperity bringing questions, technology, and war against the gods by humans. Bohemian Rhapsody. A lot of voice lines by the Wanderer are one-to-one with verses from the song Bohemian Rhapsody. The Thousand Winds. It's a secret quest chain that is required to unlock the secret island we talked about in level 1. Alive rocks. There's a rock that takes damage when attacked. It shows damage numbers, but there is no mob there. People speculate that it's probably a hitbox that the devs forgot to remove. Ulfar. He's an NPC found near the lake beside Mondstadt City, who strangely enough talks about building a boat for Flora and taking her to the Dandelion Sea, which may sound odd and creepy at first considering that Flora is a child, but that is not the case. During the beta of Genshin, Flora was supposed to be a full-grown adult, but was later changed. The devs simply forgot to change the dialogue for Ulfar, and this was just a fault made by the dev team. Kidnap Yoimiya. You can take Yoimiya to Liyue via a wave rider during her story quest and keep using her as a trial character. This has been fixed though. Giant Tuna. The luxurious Sea Lord's passive. I have no idea why this is this down in the list. CBT Guoba. Guoba in the closed beta test looked something like this. This was later changed due to pandas being very important to Chinese culture, and this may have seemed inappropriate to them. Early INAZUMA. It is possible to reach INAZUMA even before reaching Mondstadt. This requires some very perfectly executed glitches and a lot of patience, and once you're there, good luck fighting anything there without dying. Invisible chairs. There are quite a few spots in Sumeru where you can sit without a chair, just floating in the air. 0.073% buff. During the Archon quest, when Alhaitham says that your combat strength is increased by 0.073%, he means it literally. After the completion of the quest, the traveler receives a massive buff of 3 base attack, which is exactly 0.073% of their current base attack. Negative damage. It's possible to do negative damage in Genshin. The reason? Well, I don't understand this BS. So if you do, good for you. Horse Hayato. My guy Ayato can't catch a break, it seems. Before his release, there were rumors that Ayato was a part horse. I mean, I get that there are other half animals in the game, but still, why? Just why? Anyways, that about wraps it up for this one. Again, this video took a long time to make, and I'm on a bit of a tight schedule. So if you did like the video, do like and subscribe. It helps out a lot. And with that said, I'll see you in the next one.